La dichiarazione di guerra è già stata consegnata.
Hidden amidst the snowy peaks of the Italian Alps, the Vallo Alpino or Alpine Wall stands as a testament to Mussolini's ambitious defensive strategy in the years leading up to World War II. Among its most intriguing features are the dragon's teeth, menacing, iron-capped concrete structures designed to halt any invading force in its tracks. Here's the story of Mussolini's secret weapon. Number 1. The dragon's teeth. Punching through tons of snow, rows of menacing conical structures suddenly emerge, looking like something out of a fantasy movie. These bizarre formations, crafted from concrete and iron, stand tall at up to 3 feet. It's as if a set of iron teeth have been planted right into the heart of these remote, snowy mountaintops. The sheer strangeness of this sight raises so many questions. Why would anyone go to such lengths to build these in such a far-flung, almost inaccessible location? As you trudge closer, the mystery deepens. The clusters stretch out in long lines, seemingly endless, their purpose hidden behind their intimidating appearance. It's hard not to feel a chill, and it's not just from the cold. What were these iron teeth supposed to fend off? Were they a deterrent against invaders, or did they have some other, even more sinister purpose? The answers lie buried under layers of history and snow. Number 2. Relics in the middle of nowhere. The mystery of why these iron teeth were built in such a remote location is enough to send your curiosity into overdrive. Imagine trudging through the snow miles away from civilization, only to stumble across these strange structures. It's as if someone went out of their way to place them in the most inaccessible spot imaginable, somewhere no one would ever bother looking. But why? What could possibly be so important to protect or hide up here in the mountains, far from prying eyes? This remote setting only adds to the mystery. The isolation, the harsh weather, and the rugged terrain all seem to scream, "Keep out!" Yet these iron teeth stand resolute, silently guarding their secret. The location itself feels like a part of the defense, a natural barrier complementing the man-made fortifications. It's a place where nature and engineering meet, creating a puzzle that begs historians, adventurers, and anyone with a taste for mystery to dig deeper and uncover the story behind these enigmatic defenses. Number 3. Clue in the valley below. The real clue to understanding these mysterious iron teeth lies hidden in the valley below. Picture yourself, say as an invader, standing on a snowy peak, gazing down into the valley and spotting what seems like an ordinary rock face. But as you approach, you realize it's anything but ordinary. A labyrinth of secret tunnels stretches deep into the mountain, concealed behind a cleverly disguised entrance, a metal door covered in rock. This hidden door blends seamlessly with the surrounding rock, hidden in plain sight, almost as if it's daring you to find it. Stepping inside, you discover a complex network of passages that snake their way through the mountain. It's a place that feels both ancient and futuristic, a marvel of engineering shrouded in secrecy. The effort and ingenuity required to build such a concealed stronghold are mind-boggling. Number 4. The hidden door. Of course, the only way to find the door is to get lucky. Stumbling upon the hidden entrance is like stepping into a spy thriller. Nestled into the mountainside, this entrance is disguised so well, it blends right into the rock face. At first glance, you'd swear it's just another part of the rugged landscape, but a closer look reveals the clever camouflage. It reminds you of the scene from The Hobbit, where they open the stone door to the lonely mountain. It's hard not to marvel at the ingenuity behind this hidden doorway, crafted to remain invisible to all but the most observant eyes. Opening this concealed entrance is like unearthing a secret from the past. As the door swings open, it reveals a passage leading deep into the mountain's heart, shrouded in darkness and mystery. The air is cool and still, and you can almost feel the weight of the mountain above you. It's easy to imagine soldiers of the past slipping through this very entrance, ready to defend their stronghold from unseen threats. Number 5. The uneasy peace of the 1930s. The uneasy peace of the 1930s felt like the calm before a storm, a tense quiet that settled over Europe in the aftermath of World War I. Nations were licking their wounds, yet beneath the surface, there was a sense of foreboding. Leaders knew that this fragile peace couldn't last forever, and everyone was gearing up for the next big conflict. Borders were being fortified with elaborate defenses, each country trying to outdo the other in preparing for an inevitable clash. And Italy was no different. In Italy, Mussolini's paranoia was growing. He watched as the major European powers reinforced their borders, and he knew Italy couldn't be left vulnerable. The construction of the Vallo Alpino, or Alpine Wall, was his answer to this looming threat. These defenses weren't just about keeping the enemy out, they were a statement of strength and readiness. This was a time when every nation was on edge, each move carefully calculated in the high-stakes game of geopolitical chess. The peace was uneasy indeed, with everyone bracing for the moment when it would shatter. Number 6, Italy's defense strategy. Italy's defense strategy in the 1930s was nothing short of ambitious, driven by Mussolini's desire to fortify the nation's borders against any potential threats. Since 1931, Mussolini's engineers had been hard at work on an impressive line of defenses. Stretching across the rugged Italian Alps, the Vallo Alpino was designed to protect Italy from any invasion. The terrain was challenging, but the Italians were determined to create a barrier that could withstand even the most formidable assaults. What made Italy's defense strategy so intriguing was its blend of old and new military tactics. The Vallo Alpino wasn't just about building walls, it was about integrating the natural landscape into a formidable defense network. Engineers utilized the Rocky Mountains to their advantage, embedding bunkers and gun posts into the cliffs and valleys. This approach created a series of strongholds that could slow down and potentially stop an invading force. Mussolini's vision was clear: a fortified Italy ready to stand its ground no matter what came its way. Number 7, the Vallo Alpino. The Alpine Wall, or Vallo Alpino, was Mussolini's grand defensive masterpiece, stretching from Ventimiglia on the west coast to Fiume on the east, snaking through the majestic Italian Alps, designed to shield Italy from any northern invaders. This wasn't just a simple wall, it was a series of interconnected bunkers, gun posts, and concrete barriers that transformed the natural beauty of the Alps into a formidable military fortress. The rugged terrain, already a natural barrier, was now bristling with man-made defenses, creating an impenetrable line of protection. What's fascinating about the Alpine Wall is its sheer scale and the ingenuity behind its construction. Engineers worked tirelessly to integrate the fortifications seamlessly into the mountains, making them almost invisible from afar. Number 8, Hitler's nature. Despite being allies, Mussolini harbored a deep distrust of Hitler. He knew that beneath their camaraderie, Hitler had grand expansionist dreams that could easily turn toward Italy. Mussolini's apprehension was heightened when Hitler annexed Austria, bringing German borders uncomfortably close. This proximity turned friendly relations into a chess game of strategic moves and countermoves, with Mussolini's paranoia of a sudden checkmate from his powerful neighbor. Mussolini's distrust was not unfounded. He remembered how Germany had swiftly reclaimed territories post World War I and knew that Hitler eyed the South Tyrol region, which Italy had annexed. This paranoia fueled the construction of the Alpine Wall, turning the mountains into a fortified line ready to repel any German aggression. Mussolini wasn't just building defenses, he was sending a message to Hitler. Italy was ready, and any attempt to breach its borders would be met with formidable resistance. Number 9, threat from Austria. The potential threat from Austria was a constant worry for Mussolini, especially after Hitler's annexation of the country. With Austria now under German control, the northern borders of Italy were in a precarious position. Mussolini could envision German tanks and troops pouring through the Alps, exploiting any weak points in Italy's defenses. This wasn't just a distant fear. It was a very real possibility that kept Italian military planners up at night, strategizing ways to fortify their Alpine defenses against an overwhelming blitzkrieg. This looming threat turned the picturesque Austrian-Italian border into a tense front line. The Italians feared that Germany, with its advanced military machinery, could easily carve a path through the mountains, bringing war into Italian territory. Mussolini's response was to reinforce the Vallo Alpino, creating a series of bunkers, gun posts, and concrete barriers designed to slow down and halt any potential German advance. Number 10. Germany's supertanks. The rise of tank warfare changed the face of military strategy forever. After World War I, tanks became the undisputed kings of the battlefield, and no one wielded them more effectively than the Germans. Their blitzkrieg tactics, which involved fast-moving, heavily armored tanks supported by infantry and air power, were nearly unstoppable. This new era of warfare made traditional fortifications seem obsolete, and for Italy, nestled in the mountainous Alps, it was a game-changer. Mussolini had to rethink how to protect his nation from these modern, mechanized forces. To counter the threat of German tanks, the Italians designed their defenses with a focus on halting these armored beasts in their tracks. This is where the infamous dragon's teeth came into play, rows of conical concrete barriers that could stop tanks dead in their tracks. These barriers were strategically placed to funnel enemy vehicles into kill zones where they could be more easily targeted and destroyed. The rise of tank warfare necessitated a blend of old and new defensive techniques, turning the Alps into a formidable and modern fortress designed to withstand the onslaught of the most advanced military machines of the time. Number 11. Design of the dragon's teeth. The design of the dragon's teeth was both simple and ingenious. Rows of massive concrete pyramids jutting out of the ground, their menacing peaks ready to stop anything in its tracks. These structures, each about 3 feet tall, were capped with iron for extra durability. Their purpose was straightforward: to block and immobilize enemy tanks, forcing them into more predictable paths where they could be easily targeted. This clever design turned the rugged landscape of the Alps into a formidable maze for any advancing army. What made the dragon's teeth so effective was their ability to funnel armored vehicles into kill zones. Tanks couldn't just plow through these barriers without getting stuck or damaged. Instead, they were forced to slow down and navigate through specific routes, making them sitting ducks for artillery and gunfire. The Italians strategically placed these teeth across key mountain passes and valleys, transforming natural choke points into lethal traps. Number 12. The defense in the depth strategy. Italy's defense in the depth was basically setting a series of traps in a strategic game. Instead of relying on a single line of defense, the Italians layered their protections across the Alpine terrain. Like a chessboard where each piece represents a fortified position, bunkers, gun posts, and hidden machine gun nests nestled into the mountains. This approach wasn't just about stopping the enemy, it was about slowing them down, wearing them out, and creating opportunities for counterattacks. The idea was to turn the entire landscape into a labyrinth where advancing forces would find themselves bogged down and vulnerable. The brilliance of defense in the depth lay in its adaptability and flexibility. By spreading their defenses across multiple layers, the Italians could respond dynamically to enemy movements. If one position fell, there were fallback positions ready to take its place. This strategy also bought crucial time for reinforcements to arrive, tipping the scales in Italy's favor. It wasn't just about brute force, it was about strategy, tactics, and making the most of the natural advantages offered by the mountainous terrain. Number 13. Bunker number 20. Bunker number 20 was more than just a fortified room carved into the mountainside. It was a testament to Italian ingenuity and preparation. Tucked away in the heart of the Alps, this bunker was designed with one goal in mind: to defend Italy against any intruders. Imagine stepping into its depths, the air cool and damp, the walls lined with concrete, and the echoes of history whispering in every corner. It was a strategic masterpiece, camouflaged to blend seamlessly into the rocky terrain, making it nearly invisible until you were right upon it. Inside Bunker No. 20, soldiers were poised for action, ready to defend their homeland at a moment's notice. Machine gun posts guarded strategic vantage points, while secret passages linked to other parts of the fortress-like network. This wasn't just a defensive position, it was a symbol of resilience and determination in the face of potential invasion. The Italians spared no effort in making Bunker No. 20 a formidable obstacle for any would-be aggressor. Number 14. Life in the bunkers. Life in the bunkers of the Vallo Alpino was an exact opposite to the serene beauty of the surrounding Alps. Imagine living underground, where every day was a mix of anticipation and tension. For the soldiers stationed there, it was a world in itself, echoing corridors, dimly lit rooms, and the constant hum of readiness. Each bunker housed a small community of soldiers living in close quarters with limited comforts, but bound by a shared sense of duty and camaraderie. It wasn't just about defense, it was about endurance, as these men weathered the harsh conditions of mountain life while staying vigilant against potential threats. Despite the challenges, life in the bunkers had its routines and rituals. Soldiers would rotate shifts, patrolling the perimeter and manning observation posts. Meals were simple but nourishing, prepared in makeshift kitchens tucked away in the depths of the fortress. Communication with the outside world was sparse, limited to necessary radio transmissions and occasional visits from supply convoys. Yet, amidst the isolation and monotony, bonds formed between comrades, united by their mission to safeguard Italy's borders. Number 15. Construction techniques. Construction techniques employed in building the Vallo Alpino were nothing short of genius, blending rugged natural terrain with sophisticated military engineering. Picture teams of engineers and laborers scaling the steep slopes of the Alps, armed with pickaxes and dynamite, carving out foundations for bunkers and gun emplacements. They worked tirelessly to integrate concrete fortifications seamlessly into the mountainside, ensuring each structure could withstand both the elements and enemy bombardment. The goal was not just to build defenses, but to create a network that could withstand the test of time and repel any invasion. One of the most remarkable aspects of the construction was camouflage. Bunkers were disguised as natural rock formations, using materials sourced from the surrounding mountains to blend in perfectly with the environment. Number 16. Concerns about German advances. Concerns about German advances loomed large over the planners of the Vallo Alpino. With Germany's reputation for blitzkrieg tactics and mechanized warfare, Italian strategists knew they needed more than conventional defenses to hold the line in the Alps. The fear wasn't just of frontal assaults, but also of German engineering prowess, building roads and logistical routes through the rugged terrain that could support tanks and troops. This concern drove the Italians to fortify key strategic points and mountain passes with bunkers, anti-tank barriers, and artillery emplacements, turning the entire Alpine region into a fortified bastion against potential invasion. The prospect of a German incursion through the Alps kept Italian commanders on edge, strategizing how best to counter the threat. They anticipated armored columns breaking through their defensive lines and devised tactics to slow down and disrupt enemy movements. The Vallo Alpino wasn't just about static defenses, it was a dynamic strategy aimed at buying time and inflicting heavy losses on any advancing forces. Number 17. Wasted efforts. The irony of the Vallo Alpino lies in its fortifications never being put to the test. Despite the constant planning and construction, these defenses never saw actual combat. With the fall of Mussolini's regime and the subsequent Italian surrender in 1943, the German forces simply marched into northern Italy, bypassing the fortified Alpine line without resistance. This made the years of preparation and construction almost worthless, leaving the bunkers and barriers as silent witnesses to a war that passed them by. These unused fortifications later became part of the German defensive strategy against the Allied forces advancing through Italy. It's a twist of fate that these once-feared obstacles, designed to repel invaders, ended up being integrated into the defenses against the very forces they were originally intended to deter. Number 18. Germans, utilizing the Alpine Wall. After Mussolini fell and Italy surrendered, the Germans wasted no time in repurposing the Vallo Alpino for their own defense against Allied forces. The intricate network of bunkers, trenches, and anti-tank barriers became an unexpected boon for the Germans, who integrated these formidable structures into their defensive strategy. It was a case of turning the tables. What was once designed to thwart German advances was now being used to stall the Allies' progress as they pushed northward through Italy. The Germans positioned their troops within these positions, using the natural advantages of the mountainous terrain to do heavy damage and slow down the Allied forces. For the Germans, the Alpine Wall was a ready-made defensive line, complete with hardened bunkers and interlocking fields of fire. These defensive positions allowed them to mount extreme resistance against Allied assaults, forcing the advancing forces to navigate through dangerous mountain passes and heavily fortified valleys. Number 19. Modern-day remnants. Today, remnants of the Vallo Alpino stand as silent witnesses to a bygone era of military engineering and strategic foresight. Scattered across the picturesque alpine landscape, these weathered bunkers, crumbling concrete barriers, and overgrown trenches serve as reminders of Italy's efforts to fortify its borders against potential threats. Visiting these sites can evoke a sense of awe and curiosity as visitors ponder the ingenuity and determination required to construct such elaborate defenses in such challenging terrain. Number 20. Legacy. These concrete and iron structures, once poised to defend Italy's borders, now stand as silent sentinels of strategic foresight and engineering innovation. They remind us that in times of conflict, geographical barriers can be transformed into formidable defenses with creativity and determination. What do you think about the dragon's teeth? Let us know down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe in the process. See you next time.